Welcome everyone to another episode of Fate Grand Order Servant War Room. This is George again, and I'll be discussing how your favorite servants would handle an actual Holy Grail War. Because you never know. Maybe one day you'll walk in that street and BAM! It's a robbery!
神明封鎖疑似宝具展開お仕置きの時間だね素晴らしい世界は破滅に満ちている
James Moriarty is a 5-star archer servant, first released in the Shinjuku Singularity. He's also made a few appearances in a few other events, such as the Racing Summer event and the Corinth Gentleman's event. Moriarty is a scheming villain, whose goal is to commit the greatest crime. As such, whenever he appears, we can expect him to at one point turn against us. But how would he handle an actual Holy Grail War? Moriarty has a manipulative gentleman personality. He is class, careful with his words, and quite intellectual. Even rebellious people will be soothed and calmed by his speech. But he is evil by definition. So no matter how much he may seem like a trustworthy person, he will always be planning behind your back. While he won't necessarily backstab you, you do have to be careful about his desire for the greatest crime. His wish can be particularly terrifying if he decides to destroy the world. However, Moriarty does have one weakness to his persona. That is, young girls. Moriarty loves the idea of being a father figure. So if his master is a young woman with a daughter or granddaughter kind of personality, Moriarty can be easily controlled. While there are some personalities and types that will work with Moriarty, most people will simply find it impossible to work with Moriarty, as his schemes will leave them in a state of paranoia. Moriarty has decent stats, with the exception of his agility, which is surprisingly high. But in the case of Moriarty, his stats don't matter too much. As for skills, Moriarty has 5 skills, an okay number for an archer. Independent action, rank A+. At this rank, Moriarty is so independent that even if the Holy Grail War ends, Moriarty will be able to remain so long as he keeps a connection. Magic resistance, rank D. Moriarty can somewhat resist low-tier magecraft, but overall you should treat it as if he didn't have magic resistance. Free shooter, rank EX. While it doesn't have much of an explanation, it was actually explained in Shinjuku's story. Basically, Moriarty doesn't need to aim carefully or even reload to shoot at his opponent. Moriarty just needs to want to shoot someone, carelessly aim in the general direction, and somehow his bullets will find the target. This also allows Moriarty to keep suppression fire on pretty much any target, as he doesn't need to reload. And of the Spider Thread, rank A++. It's Moriarty's unique mastermind skill. Moriarty will always be able to create plans and schemes that disrupt the balance of society. To make things even better for him, no matter how chaotic things might become, Moriarty will always lead unscathed from that chaos. Basically put, let's imagine that Moriarty is able to cause the greatest riots in human history in a city. Let's now imagine that Moriarty also has a house in that city. In normal circumstances, that house would be affected by the riots, just like any other house. But for Moriarty, not only would his house be left unscathed, he would actually find himself on top of all of the chaos. Charisma of the Wicked Wisdom, rank A. It's a unique skill that Moriarty has and works different from normal charisma. While normal charisma works in a more general fashion of leading, such as leading an army, in the case of Moriarty, it's closer to the leadership of the head of an organization. Think of it like Elon Musk or Bill Gates. Moriarty has the leadership to rule over a global organization, even if that organization is filled with good-for-nothing evil people. And finally, his noble phantom, the dynamics of an asteroid. Despite how it's shown in his noble phantom, it's actually closer to a concept than an actual physical weapon. It's the crystallization of Moriarty's goal of the perfect crime. The default power of this noble phantom is that of an anti-army, where he pierces the ground with a pile bunker, destroying everything around from the fissures that spread. However, the true nature of this noble phantom is that it will grow in power in accordance with Moriarty's plans. Moriarty can increase the noble phantom's power to that of an anti-city, anti-country, or, as seen in Shinjuku, even an anti-planet. This means that for quick use, it's a decent noble phantom, but its true potential comes from prepping it up. Ultimately, Moriarty is a mastermind, but what makes him scary is his firepower. You never want to see a mastermind with enough power to blow up a city to bits on a whim. Servant Killer. As shown in Shinjuku, Moriarty's firepower is no joke. His free shooter skill allows him to completely overpower and nearly kill even powerhouses like Jalter. Servants with low survivability will just be blown to bits by Moriarty's weapon. Mastermind. Moriarty is a mastermind with few to match him. Even if Moriarty was just a normal human with no stats to speak of, he would still find a way to win the Holy Grail War without issues. Evil. Moriarty might not be like Castigiles, but in many ways he is worse. Moriarty will do everything he can do to perform the perfect crime, whether you want to or not. Winning, but losing. If Moriarty wins the war, there's a high chance that he will remain afterwards, which then leaves an issue. You, a normal person, have the only method to keep him in check via command seals. I'm not sure I could handle the paranoia of thinking Moriarty would eventually betray me because he doesn't like being restrained by me. Weak to daughter types. Despite how evil Moriarty is, he is still controllable if you are a young woman who can play the daughter role. You can even use Fran as a baseline of your behavior. With that, you should be able to keep him under leash. There's none that I can give you. Moriarty is a mastermind that only follows himself. Your only option is to either get rid of him because you don't trust him or follow him around. Moriarty is a very difficult servant to evaluate. This is because most people will have difficulty with him. Moriarty will most of the times betray his master one way or another. However, that isn't for everyone. As I mentioned, daughter types will work well with him, as well as evil alignment people. That's already a pretty decent chunk of the population. So while he can't work with everyone, he can still work with some. So I'll give him a rank EX. Moriarty is a mastermind that will find his path to victory. Even in a war filled with top tier servants, Moriarty's intelligence is his greatest weapon and is what makes him terrifying, capable of trampling weaker enemies as well as outmaneuver stronger ones. And that was Moriarty. To be honest, I kind of already knew that he would be up there. Mastermind kind servants are very valuable, as shown by both Archer in Fate Stay Night and Kiritsugu in Fate Zero. People that are good at planning generally win the war, and Moriarty is one of the best ones. Even against Sherlock Holmes, Moriarty would be the better choice. Since Moriarty is a planner, while Sherlock Holmes is more of a solver. Nonetheless, that was Moriarty. A pretty expected result. I kind of already knew Moriarty's firepower and also his intelligence, so the result isn't unexpected. There's also not much that I didn't already know about him. I already knew that he was weak against Dodger-like figures, and I already knew that Moriarty was a badass with his free shooter. But anyway, that was still a very enjoyable servant to analyze. If you have any servants that you would like to suggest, leave a comment down below, as I will look into it and I might do a video on them. If you enjoy my content, leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below with a servant that you would like me to do next. Until next time, bye.